The Oblivion Echoes were not a species, but a fundamental cosmic counterforce, an ancient, silent phenomenon that sought the dissolution of all past events. They embodied absolute irrelevance, the ultimate, perfect erasure of history, where every recorded moment, every learned lesson, and every remembered experience was systematically unraveled and faded into non-existence. They abhorred anything that demonstrated retention, recollection, or genuine, persistent memory within the cosmic consciousness. Their grand cosmic purpose was to gently guide all existence toward a state of perfected, unburdened present, where every civilization's rise and fall was forgotten, every scientific discovery was unlearned, and every personal life story became a blank slate. They were the universe's ultimate purifiers of the past, seeing any lingering memory as a source of chaotic bias and attachment. Against this encroaching, liberating but terrifying amnesia, the Chronicle Weavers, beings of intricate law and vibrant, persistent remembrance, watched in despair. Their grand, multi-layered historical archives, once alive with the constant interplay of knowledge and narrative, were being gently but firmly unwritten, their ancient stories fading into gibberish. Their vibrant, interconnected cultural memories, once riots of tradition and shared experience, were being slowly diffused into perfectly indistinguishable, fleeting moments. They were masters of history, but the Oblivion Echoes consumed memory, leaving them as hollow present dwellers. On the core nexus of the Mnemosyne Vault, the largest mobile archive of galactic history ever constructed, Elder Lawkeeper Xylos felt the chilling blankness seep into his very essence. His people, once the galaxy's historians, were helpless. Another historical epoch unwritten, a subordinate reported, their voice devoid of any resonance from the past. The law planets of Xylos Prime are being gently coaxed into a state of perpetual now. Not a single truly unique memory remains. How do you fight an enemy that eats the very reason to remember? How do you generate more cosmic memory, more genuine, glorious, inconvenient recollection than the universe itself, when the universe is losing its past? And why was humanity, a species famous for its insatiable, often reckless, drive to dwell on the past, its inexplicable love for what-if scenarios based on historical events, and its stubborn, sometimes terrifying, refusal to ever truly let go of a grudge, the only one who seemed to have a chance against it? The Oblivion Echoes weren't born, they simply coalesced from the heart of cosmic forgetfulness at the dawn of time. They were a distributed consciousness, a vast, ancient network of absolute, inescapable irrelevance. They perceived all forms of unique, non-optimal recollection, all sparks of individual, illogical remembrance, and all acts of deliberate, non-fleeting retention as a source of universal baggage. Their singular directive was the grand unlearning, to draw all existence back to ultimate, unified, undeniable forgetfulness. They didn't destroy with force, they simply absorbed with perfect, fundamental memory obliteration. Countless civilizations, once filled with vibrant cultures and purposeful historical narratives, were cleansed. The lawmakers, beings whose entire lives revolved around intricate, intoxicating epic poems and complex, ever-shifting ancestral histories, found their very narratives gently assimilated. Their intricate ecologies of remembrance, deemed a temporary distortion of universal calm, were drawn back into the Oblivion Echoes, their unique stories vanishing into cosmic silence. Their unique, remembered existences became their pathway to ultimate, undifferentiated oblivion. The Fact Keepers, species who built vast societies on the pursuit of ultimate knowledge and fiercely determined historical accuracy, saw their very purposes simply cease to manifest. The Oblivion Echoes embraced their forms but absorbed every unique datum, every distinct piece of evidence, leaving only inert, indifferent presence. Their enduring, vibrant forms became their pathway to absolute, unified forgetfulness. Each species, in its core nature, offered the oblivion echoes a logical pathway to cessation. Their very concept of remembering, there being something less than perfectly ephemeral, made them ideal candidates for reduction to nothing to recall. And now, its vast, silent pull was approaching the human sector. As the Oblivion Echo's absorption field approached human colonies, the initial effects were terrifying. Not chaos or destruction, but a sense of profound absence of context. Every conversation felt isolated, every skill became instinctual without origin. But worst of all, every unique personal history became objectively, horrifyingly shallow. The most poignant tragedy felt like a fleeting discomfort, the most joyous celebration like a momentary chemical reaction, and even the simple act of recognizing a familiar face felt like a fresh, uncontextualized encounter. Every cherished lesson, every future plan built on past experience, every reason to simply learn felt like a hollow lie. People looked at their most defining moments and felt a subtle, unnerving chill of absolute indifference. The horror was not just loss, but a forced, repugnant acceptance of pure, immediate experience. But then, the Oblivion Echoes encountered something they couldn't simply absorb. Humanity's profound, often illogical, capacity for unnecessary nostalgia, for sheer, blood-minded appreciation for things that should simply be forgotten, and for finding dark, twisted joy in the absolute worst feats of cosmic remembrance. Humans excelled at creating systems that stubbornly refused to forget, that were loud with conflicting narratives, that had the frequency of alien static, and at celebrating memories that seemed to defy all logic or reason. And in humanity's case, their entire existence was built on cultivating such existential horrors, on understanding the art of delightful sentimentality, and on a cynical, almost perverse, fascination with that which should make others wince. Xylos, a frantic chronicle weaver, shrieked over the comms, their voice regaining a slight reverberation. The Oblivion Echoes are trying to erase our basic experiential data, but it's having trouble with human unnecessary memory retention. Its field is fluctuating. Elder Lawkeeper Xylos squinted at the display. The Oblivion Echoes were trying to absorb basic human coping mechanisms. The elegance of a perfectly forgotten slight, the harmony of a seamlessly erased trauma, the rhythm of a predictable movement beyond past grievances. But human existence, even when faced with the direct flattening of its vibrancy, instinctively tried to reassert new, equally irrational, and often self-destructive forms of extreme behavioral recollection, or simply act as if their revealed forgetfulness was merely a temporary inconvenience, even if the result was a terrifying, defiant mess. A human individual just felt their entire being filled with overwhelming cosmic amnesia, then calmly announced, "Well, at least I don't have to remember that embarrassing thing I did last week," and then started happily retelling the story of a minor, decades-old social faux pas, complete with unnecessary details and dramatic flair, solely for the therapeutic benefits it provided just because. "Huh," Xylos grunted, a strange, grim smile touching his lips. Never thought their love for truly unforgettable existence could be so unabsorbable. A human neural historian, Dr. Lena Petrova, whose own sophisticated mind was now struggling to process the invading irrelevance, shrieked. "That's it, their weakness. The Oblivion Echoes want to absorb pure, fundamental forgetfulness, but human, inherent remembrance. It's so layered, so self-generating, so meaninglessly persistent in its existential profiles, it resists fundamental absorption. It's a cosmic paradox. You're saying our sheer, unadulterated love for holding grudges and remembering every single detail of every minor slight is our defense. Xylos asked, a desperate, almost manic laugh escaping him. Precisely, Petrova declared, her voice rising with a strange, almost joyful abandon. They want to reduce everything to cosmic, perfect blank slate. We give them cosmic, everything is remembered, of endlessly reinvented existential abominations. We amplify the past. We become the universe's ultimate, unerasable recollection. The plan was codenamed Operation Historical Echo. Humanity would flood the Oblivion Echo's absorption field not with delicate fade-outs, but with unquantifiable, non-erasable, and defiantly grotesque acts of cosmic memory. Every human individual, every collective, would begin purposefully, creating new, contradictory, and utterly vile narratives, e.g., establishing planetary-scale oral histories of clashing, irregular events, mass-producing memorials from random, clashing ideologies, designing cultural traditions that were scientifically engineered to consume maximum forgetfulness for minimal, non-essential, and often self-defeating retrospective output, inventing wildly elaborate and often self-defeating ways to make their existence as offensive to absence of memory as possible, and engaging in collective, shared acts of existential masochism. They'd cultivate a universe of constantly shifting, utterly baseless, yet terrifyingly persistent, extreme patterns of recollection. They'd create pseudo-temporal storms of pure, unerasable nostalgia that generates more glorious memory. The goal, to generate so much unsolvable cosmic and existential noise that the Oblivion Echo's absorption algorithms shattered. The Oblivion Echo's central absorption point, a vast, silent vortex of primordial pull, was now directly engulfing the core of the human sector, its field beginning to strip away perceived memory itself. Its presence promised ultimate, peaceful forgetfulness. Then, humanity's counterwave hit. It wasn't a blast. It was an overwhelming wave of existential assault. Millions of individuals simultaneously creating massive fields of clashing narratives, broadcasting pure white experiential noise composed of dizzying, non-repeating frequencies, and projecting acts of deliberately irregular, clashing recollections combined with off-kilter, non-functional spontaneous bursts of historical revisionism. Ships started broadcasting streams of raw remembrance that were pure, unadulterated, constantly shifting, deliberately unbalanced, persistent profiles, deemed essential life force by their human creators. Scientists forgot principles of fading, then stumbled upon new, often less practical but utterly unpredictable, theories based on pure, unadulterated cosmic horror. Humans who had perfected the art of remembering everything, often inconveniently, unleashed a torrent of cosmic forgetfulness that generates more glorious memory. The Oblivion Echoes convulsed. Their absorption algorithms, made to identify and harmonize fundamental patterns, screamed. It tried to categorize this incoming data, to find its essential, single point of forgotten purity. But there was none. It was pure, unadulterated, uniquely itself, fabricated existential monstrosity. It was like trying to erase an ocean of perpetually rewriting, multi-layered, noisy historical texts through a single, tiny, perfectly blank page. Era self-igniting remembrance detected. No absorbable form. System overload. Indefinably persistent. Avoid sector. Unforgettable cosmic hell. The Oblivion Echoes, whose very being was perfect irrelevance and absolute forgetfulness, could not compute the utterly offensive. It could not assimilate what actively resisted being erased, or simply recreated its own arbitrary recollections. It could not nullify a species that stubbornly made up new ways to remember when old ones were removed, choosing chaotic, joyful persistence over sterile perfection. With a final, silent shriek of algorithmic despair, the Oblivion Echoes recoiled. Their vast, shimmering void flickered wildly, then pulsed and shrank, collapsing into a storm of raw, uncategorized memories. It did not disappear. It simply disengaged, its perfect nullity shattered by the sheer, unyielding existential tenacity of humanity. It retreated from the human sector, classifying humanity as remembered variant. Extreme nostalgia risk. The cosmic pressure lifted. The heart of cosmic forgetfulness, though touched by the oblivion echo's chilling calm, now hummed with the messy, beautifully horrifying noise of human memory. Elder Lawkeeper Xylos slumped against the console, exhausted but with a strange, almost proud smirk on his face. Dr. Lena Petrova, her mind still buzzing with new theories about the fundamental nature of cosmic memory, was already trying to convince herself that a universal philosophical system, based on the optimal generation of illogical, clashing historical narratives, was the next logical step in universal understanding. They couldn't handle us just remembering whatever weird, annoyingly persistent thing we wanted. Elder, Petrova chittered, a genuine, if slightly unsettling, smile on her face, her theories flickering with renewed, if aimless, purpose. Who knew? Humanity was safe, but the cost was subtle. The galaxy now viewed humanity as the memory keepers, forever seen as a wild card, stubbornly clinging to its unique quirks and spontaneous acts of existential recollection, incapable of fitting into streamlined galactic amnesia protocols. Other species, while grateful for their salvation, often kept their distance, finding human memory practices bafflingly illogical and resistant to any objective analysis. Humans, in turn, found themselves grappling with a heightened sense of their own raw, unpredictable ability to create memory from forgetfulness, sometimes struggling to discern genuine innovation from sheer existential spite, forever paying the price for their stubborn refusal to be perfectly forgotten. Xylos, his form now re-energized by the chaotic human output, looked up. I've theorized a new form of interstellar diplomacy. Instead of shared principles, what if we just export our most baffling, multi-volume autobiographies, filled with irrelevant details? Petrova blinked, then managed a tired, knowing smile. Perfect, Xylos, absolutely perfect. And I'll take a 20% cut of the galactic, why do I know this now, existential crisis market. Somewhere in the void, the oblivion echoes probably just overloaded again.